Patrick and Thais, your time has come. They have been in the headlines non-stop lately, so let's take a look back at where they started and see if we can figure out how they got to where they are today. Also, this is not sponsored, but if you've never tried the grapefruit liquid death, you're missing out. I drink like 10 of these a day. Patrick, 31 from Austin, Texas, meets Thais, 25 from Brazil. Patrick had gone down to Brazil to visit his father, who retired there, and was swiping around on Tinder when he came across Thais and they matched. They became inseparable. He would travel back and forth to Brazil to see her, and after 11 months together, they became engaged. They applied for the K1, and now Thais is coming to the US. So Patrick actually was previously married. He and his wife met and were really intertwined in the powerlifting community. Patrick was almost going to the Olympics. That's how good he was. But unfortunately, he tested positive before the Olympics for growth hormones. And not being able to do that, not being able to be in that space anymore, really put a rift between him and his ex-wife, and they ended up divorcing. Patrick seems to run his own company. Every time they talk about it, it sounds like something different, but he has a huge house, nice car, makes a good amount of money. But he doesn't live alone in that big house. No, his brother John lives with him. And one thing people noticed about John was his accent, and that is because he lived in my homeland of Massachusetts for long enough to, really get that accent in, and way longer than Patrick. That's why one has the accent and the other doesn't. And Thais is really nervous about moving in with John because he is a party guy. He doesn't take life seriously, and she just knows they're gonna clash. So Thais is really close with her family, one person in particular, her father. And her father does not like Patrick, and it's going to be a little bit of an issue. She knows she's going to the US, but he does not know she is going on the K1 to get married. When she arrives in the US, she gets to the house, and Patrick has gotten her the cutest little puppy. And while she's really happy about the puppy, she is not happy about John. John and her butt heads at every turn. I feel like John was if it was me and my brother brought a girl home, I'd get to know her, but I'd also give them their space. And he just didn't. He wasn't very tactful about it, in my opinion. And while I get that it's also his house, he lives there, I can understand where she's coming from. You're like newly with this guy, finally moved in together, and you just don't want a third wheel. So Patrick says, why don't we move to Dallas? And if you're not from the US, I think Dallas and Austin are like 3 hours apart or something like that. So it's a little further away, and she's like, hell yeah, we're gonna get rid of John. And he's like, oh no, John would be moving with us. And he does. They get a nice, beautiful house near Dallas. John moves in with them. And this is when we learn about Patrick and Thais' trust issues. You see, when they were together, Patrick made out with some girl and texting her or whatnot, and Thais found out. And she's like, I still just don't trust you. Will you share your location with me? And he's like, no. Which again, devil's advocate, I get he doesn't want people like tracking him, and it feels just like that's not really a great start to a relationship. But I also get her where she's like, I don't trust you and I don't know where I am. I don't know. John throws a house party at their new house, and he invites a bunch of girls, just trying to cause trouble. But luckily for Thais, she made some friends, which I think is wonderful for her. Now there's some couples that will get together and they don't really argue. You can just tell like they have fun together. This is not one of them. This is not one of those couples. They are arguing at every turn. Patrick comes off as extremely controlling. And I didn't remember this when I was watching it through the first time, like when we all watched it together. But watching back, I'm like, damn, this dude just wants to control every little aspect. He takes her on a trip to Vegas, and she's like, there's the wedding chapel, let's get married. And she's so excited and thinks it's like the coolest thing. And he's like, no, that's where strippers get married, not you. You're so much better than this. And at the time I was like, oh, that's really sweet. Like he doesn't just want to get, and then I'm like, wait a minute, it's because he can't control it. Now hear me, John is very annoying and up in their business, but Patrick had told him about Thais' dad not knowing, and I've got to say, John gave some good advice. He told her, if your dad doesn't know before you get married, he is going to resent Patrick even more, and it's going to lessen the chance of him actually liking him. And that really makes her mad, probably because it's John. Even though it's good advice, it does kind of upset her. So Patrick's family is going to be down in Orlando, and they decide to go there. And then Patrick tells her, hey, I plan our wedding while we're there. And he says, 22 is my lucky number, and we'll be there on the 22nd, so we're going to get married on the day of my lucky number. you have no say. Like, it's my lucky number. So he continues through the whole wedding process, making all her decisions, her hair and her makeup, all of that. Like, he booked her hair and her makeup artist, which, if you know girls, and especially Tice, she's a girly girl, that would be a no-go for me. Like, let me choose my makeup artist. I know what I like. And he acts like doing all this is doing her a favor. Like, you don't have to call and do anything. They get to Orlando and she gets to meet his family. There was some family issues when he was younger, but it seems like everyone's kind of coming together now. I find that they were very like welcoming to Thais. Like, yes, they had questions, and of course, some of the questions are production questions. I've learned this watching the show and talking to cast. Some of the more offhanded comments tend to be production. They get married. It's a cute little ceremony. She did get to pick out her own dress. His mom and sister made sure of that. And then the tell-all happens. And at the tell-all, they announce they are pregnant. And that same year, 2022, they had a beautiful baby girl. Now, they were on some other parts of other seasons, but they are slowly being removed from my Amazon Prime, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the court stuff or what, but I had the hardest time finding these clips. But I remembered that Patrick had gone to meet her family, and he did, and it was very awkward and very weird, and yeah. Also at the tell-all was where John got the name Sparkles, because he was looking at Jabri, another cast member, and he was wearing a sparkly outfit, and he's like, I can't focus with those sparkles. John goes on and he actually becomes a part of the show on Single Life, where he meets his girl. They have a baby, and they're constantly in drama over on Instagram and things like that. So if you want to follow John's story, go do that. Now, Patrick and Thais, they have been in the news a lot. In May, Thais was arrested for Patrick, allegedly. The cops and everything, all the evidence, the court decided they were not going to press charges in this case. She said it was like self-defense and all this stuff, and they were just, you know what, no. The fight allegedly broke out because Patrick had served her divorce papers, and not only divorce papers, but he filed for sole custody of their daughter, who is what, now 3? So we know how immigrants are treated in this country for the most part. That makes it really hard for her. But she has hired an immigration attorney and a family attorney to fight and try to keep custody of her daughter, whether it be full or part-time. I hope that she is, there's no reason, I don't think, that girl should not be in her child's life. And a father filing for sole custody without any good reason, that's embarrassing. Again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but from Instagram, if you're going through that and what we've seen on the show, Thais seems to really love her daughter, and I think this is a way of Patrick controlling. I also do not condone putting hands on anyone for any reason, but again, the charges were dropped on that. You can watch them currently on the new season of Last Resort. This was filmed long before the arrest or anything like that, but you can kind of see during this show how the control aspects of it, if you're like really looking now, you're kind of like, and you can just tell they do not mesh. It's just very weird when you're looking back on the show, knowing what you know now. You kind of see like I always thought they were really great together, and now I'm like, anyway, I hope that that little girl gets to grow up with both parents and that they can come to a resolve, that everything goes smooth, no more arrests, and, the law does what it's supposed to do, and it's fair and just. Have a great night, everyone.